You saw the thumbnail. Will this be my last Jack Reacher novel? Stick around. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads, where today we are talking In Too Deep, book number 29 in the Jack Reacher saga. This was released back in October of 2024. I've been meaning to get to this, and I could say with happiness that I am currently caught up on Reacher. I have now read everything from Reacher, and so that feels really good. And I've read some great stuff. This one in particular is probably not going to be one of my favorite book reviews. I'm just going to trigger warn you right there. It's going to be very hard for me to not rant about this one. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. And so let's kick it off with the summary. I'm giving you basically the summary from Goodreads because, quite honestly, for me to paraphrase what this summary is, I'm still kind of lost, to be honest with you. And I consider myself a somewhat intelligent person, but yeah. So the summary of this: Jack Reacher wakes up alone. He's in the dark, handcuffed to a makeshift bed. His right arm has suffered some type of injury or significant damage, and his few possessions that he carries on his person are missing. He has no memory of how he ended up there, and the last thing he recalls is the car he had hitched a ride in being off the road, resulting in the driver's death. The individuals responsible for the attack assume Reacher was the driver's accomplice, and they tend to his injuries with the intention of interrogating him later. There's also a mention, if I can throw it out there, just to kind of add here, there's Russia, there's gold, there's the Bahamas, and nuclear stuff mentioned. I'm still a little vague on how it all comes together. But let's dive right into what I enjoyed before I get into my digressions here. But I know Josh had already overbooked. He's read this. We're both big Reacher fans, and he liked it. Josh has really good taste, so it's probably me more than anything here. But some things I did enjoy. Let's kind of tick through them. It was nice. It was a quick listen. You know, it seems like recently, as Andrew Child came on board, if you didn't know, let me just kind of set the stage here. Lee Child was the originator of Jack Reacher books, and he has some of the early books are just absolutely great. Now that they're doing the series on Prime, yes, the train's in the background again. Now that they're doing the series on Prime, they're sticking to some of the earlier books, which is good because Alan Richardson's a really good Jack Reacher, and you know, season 3 is coming in February. I'm really excited, and they're doing the early Lee Child books. Now, when Lee Child got to like 20, I don't think it's 23, 24, somewhere in that area, he had his brother Andrew Child, who is an author himself, married to a woman that's also an author. They live in Wyoming. He goes, his real name is something different, but he writes under Andrew Child. He started working with his brother, Lee Child, and they started tag teaming, co-writing Reacher. And Lee was basically going to sunset his involvement with Reacher. He was going to spend a couple books working together with his brother Andrew. They were going to write a couple Reacher books, and then he was basically going to pass the Reacher torch to Andrew to write the books. Most of the Reacher books I get on Audible, and I get the physical beat-up copies that I keep, and I follow along and just immersive read them. When I was listening to one Reacher book that one of the first ones that Andrew Child did along with his brother, there was a significant difference in the character of Reacher. Now, that put me off of Reacher for a while, so I had some catching up to do, and I kind of set Reacher to the side. Obviously, the popularity of the new show on Prime has spurred my interests. I've always had a thing for Reacher in terms of as a character, in terms of enjoyment. He's just a great character. I've done Why You Should Read on Lee Child. I've done a deep dive character study on Jack Reacher. Obviously, I have an affinity for the character. When Andrew Child took over, there definitely was a different voice. I set it aside, as I mentioned, and I've came back to it, wanted to catch up. Now, I went back to the original where I kind of just, I wouldn't say DNF'd it, but I stopped reading it or stopped listening to it and went back to it. And it wasn't, the second time through, I got through it okay. It wasn't that bad. Definitely still different. I moved forward. I think it was like 26, 27. The Secret, which was 28, it was a return to form for me. You know, the few before it were just kind of okay. The Secret was good. I really enjoyed it, and I thought, you know what, that's great. In Too Deep is the next one. I had read The Secret later last year. I really enjoyed it, and I knew In Too Deep was already out, and it was the next one, and I was going to be completely caught up. So I was looking forward to this. Yeah. And yeah, I got this. So again, I've digressed here, but let's circle back to what I did like. It's a quick listen. It's a quick read. I've noticed this with Andrew Child that his books in the Reacher series are significantly shorter. Lee Child tends to write 400, 450, 500 page Reacher books, where these are more like 300, 350 page books. This one was like 327 pages. So I will give that's something I liked about this one, that it was quick. You know, it's kind of like getting your tooth pulled. You want it to be over quickly. But I digress again. I got more Reacher, which is always a good thing because I like him, again, as in a character. I really like him. It's definitely not the same Reacher, though. And so that's a dislike. The female character, Night, and her relationship with Reacher in the plot, and a little bit of a love interest was decent. I did like the fact that I would say that if you've never read a Reacher book and you're looking for a starting point, and you know, probably not after you watch this, but this one you could read. I mean, there's nothing to me that says you need to read something else before you read this one. You can dive right into this one, really. And there's a lot that you can dive into Reacher, and that is another allure to it. But this one for sure, you can dive right in, and I don't recommend you do. There's much better starting points, but you could. I did like some of the Clandestine kind of spy stuff. There was a couple stings related to a guy in a backpack and a bench and something he puts under it. And those parts were kind of interesting, kind of spy game stuff. But those were just brief parts. There is a couple excerpts that I thought were fitting. A couple quotes I'm going to throw out there. Sometimes justice wasn't about the law. It was about doing the right thing, no matter the cost. And that's obviously Reacher to a T. Another one was, the signs were subtle, a flicker of tension in the room, a shadow on the wall. But to Reacher, they were blaring alarms. And that is definitely from his days on the military police. And so let's move into what I disliked. This could get long-winded, and it's already 8 minutes. Oh my goodness. There seems to be so much setup here. And there's multiple characters. I think Andrew Child is trying to get so creative with this plot that I'm all over the place. I don't know what the purpose of this whole book was, to be honest with you. I think the purpose is he is mistaken in being a part of something he's not. There's multiple undercover cross-agency things, and I don't know. There's gold, there's Bahamas, there's Russia. I don't really know. None of the characters are memorable. Completely. Again, the plot was confusing. Even Reacher seemed very subdued as a character. And I know, based on the plot being just a confused, muddy mess, there's not a lot of traction that he could have. But yeah, I was really disappointed. So let's just leave it at that and just dive right into the rating. I'm giving this a 2.5. It's pretty low, especially for a Reacher book. Considering that The Secret, which was its predecessor, book 28, I gave a 4.4. I thought it was great, return to form. Yeah, this was a huge letdown. So let's talk a little bit about Goodreads, because I went on to Goodreads because I just was lost on what to even say the summary of this book was. Goodreads had this at a 3.98 average rating. Now, I don't put a lot of stake in Goodreads, and I mentioned like my scores compared to Goodreads on some books before, not always, but 3.98, they are delusional that this is a 3.98 book. Not even close. Not even close. The funny thing is that I went back and said, well, I wonder what they gave The Secret. They gave The Secret a 4.08, which I can, that's fine. I was 4.4. I'm a little higher about it because probably I gave a little more because it was better and I was expecting not to be as good because I just don't think Andrew Child's the right person for Reacher, but that's in the ballpark for me. What kind of shocked me is that you're going to say The Secret is only a tenth of a percent above where this book is. I mean, you are off your rocker. But anyways, I'm not going to beat up a book. I've probably already done that, and I hate to do that, and I apologize. But yeah, 2.5. Overall, it goes back to the intro. Am I going to read another Reacher book? Well, lo and behold, there is a book coming out in October called Exit Strategy. There's no cover art. It's a late October release date. Usually October is when they release the new Reacher book. Am I going to read it? Probably. But I will caveat with this. If this book by Andrew Child is bad again, I'm probably going to be done with Reacher for a while. Sad to say. I'm probably not going to be over the moon about getting the next one. And this is book 30 we're talking about too. I really feel like, honestly, overall, too, is Lee Child needs to, pump the brakes on his brother. Hey, bro, you're just... And I don't think he would, because going back to the Goodreads, people are giving me, where are you? Maybe it's me. It's not everyone, not everyone connects with the books, but, this was not good. I think a simpler premise, more brutality from Reacher is what people want. I mean, even the soft spice that you get in the book with Reacher with a woman, that was even that was just kind of, I only got one room, and hey, so the next morning he wakes up and it's not that I'm wanting that in the book, but even that, he's just right, he's just trying to get it out. He's just trying to get this 300-page book out. Yeah. Anyways, 12 minutes. I'm way beyond this. I apologize for the length, but that is my review of In Too Deep from Andrew Child. 2.5 stars. Hopefully Exit Strategy in October will be a better book. I'm got my fingers crossed. We'll see. That's my review. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Thanks.